What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas here, Refuse to Lose podcast. The Mariners are one win away from the World Series with a great, unbelievable comeback win against the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 5 of the ALCS. They now lead the series 3-2. We are going back to Toronto, and the Mariners will have an opportunity to play for their first World Series ever. Let me explain a few things here. I am making my way slowly to Toronto. I have to drive to Toronto. I do not have a passport. I do have a driver's license that allows me over the border. So I am making the long, slow drive to Toronto. I am not in my usual studio. I do not have my usual equipment. Therefore, no music, no highlights, no nothing. Just me and just you talking M's here for a couple of minutes. Unbelievable victory tonight. I have to say, the hit by Eugenio Suarez is going to go down as a top 2 hit in Seattle Mariners history as of now. The double by Edgar, I still think, will maybe be the most meaningful hit in franchise history, given that it helped keep the team in Seattle. But that's not really a discussion that matters right now. It is a top 2 hit in franchise history. That bottom of the 8th inning is a top 2 inning in Seattle Mariners history, only rivaled by the inning in which Edgar's double happened. I believe it was the 11th inning in Game 5 in 1995. There's a lot of things going through me right now. So let me just kind of shoot from the hip. One, really gutsy job by the Mariners pitching staff, right? The Blue Jays had traffic all over the field tonight, and the pitching staff found a way to limit the damage. And that's everybody who stepped on the field. Credit to Bryce Miller, who I think was on the ropes there a couple of times. Gets out of bases loaded, nobody out. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable job by Cal Raleigh to help him turn a double play to get out of that mess. So bases loaded, nobody out, and Bryce Miller gets out of it. Credit to Brian Wu, who battled. And I know he gave up a run, but he battled. I know Matt Brash allowed an inherited runner to score, but he battled. And Gabe Spire and Andres Munoz. Credit to all of them. I was telling somebody privately, look, I don't know if the Mariners are going to win this game or any of the games in Toronto, but I said at some point in this game, at about the 7th inning, I said, I think the Mariners have pulled every lever there is to pull. Like, if they don't win, it's not going to be for lack of trying. They pulled the get aggressive in the bullpen card in Game 5 or in Game 4. They pulled the aggressive bullpen guard in Game 5. They went to Matt Brash early twice. They went to Gabe Spire early once. I know they were going to be willing to use Andres Munoz for 2 innings if they had to. They played the Brian Wu card. They changed up the lineup. They played the Leo Rivas card. They moved Arozarena down. They moved Naylor up. They moved Polanco up. Like, they did everything that you could have conceivably done to try to create something. If they didn't win this game, it was not going to be for lack of effort. It was not going to be for lack of creativity. If they go to Toronto, or if they had gone to Toronto and lost the series, which they still could, but it's not going to be because they didn't try to pull every lever possible. It was just going to be about, can they finally get the big hit or make the big play? And tonight, they found a way to do it late. So kudos to everybody who pitched that limited damage. Kudos to Randy Arozarena, who robbed a home run, or what looked like it would have been a home run, in the top half of the 8th inning and kept that game at 2-1. Credit to, in the bottom of the 8th, first off, credit to Cal Raleigh. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I was getting emotional just thinking about Cal being a guy that tied the game, because this season has been about Cal. And it's been about Cal trying to have those moments, those MVP moments in the regular season, and those playoff moments that back up that MVP caliber regular season. And he's had those moments over and over and over again. And he had it in Game 1 of this series when he helped get Gausman out of the game, tied the game in Game 1. He had another homer earlier in this series, which I know didn't really matter because it was a blowout. And he had the moment tonight, the you turn me around to hit right-handed moment, and I go deep for the 64th time this season. Unbelievable. I was at first just pumped that Cal was the guy that tied the game, because, again, the season has been about Cal. And here he was able to deliver yet another moment in that ballpark and for those fans. Absolutely incredible. Then kudos after that, Polanco drawing a walk taking some tough pitches, right, as a right-handed batter also against Little. I know Little was wild. I know he didn't have great stuff today, but he still was trying to get Polanco to chase. He didn't. Kudos to Josh Naylor, because I thought that last night, right? I talked about this last night in the post-game reaction podcast, right? It was only 12, 13 minutes, but one of my bigger frustrations last night with the Mariners was that I thought they were chasing at the plate. And I don't mean just swinging at bad pitches. I mean, they were swinging at everything. They were trying to get everything back in one shot that they could. And tonight, late, they finally got back to the disciplined approach that they utilize when they are at their best. There's Polanco laying off pitches from Little. There's Josh Naylor, who's in a 3-1 count, a count to do damage. And he swings at a pitch on 3-1, trying to do damage. Bad pitch. Goes 3-2, and rather than doubling it up and kind of compounding the air, he found a way to lay off another pitch, not chase, and then end up getting first and second, nobody out. And then kudos to Randy Arozarena, because it's been a pretty dreadful postseason for Arozarena. 6 for 38 at one point. Fox said going in, at some point in this game, you have to find a way when you're struggling to make an impact. And Randy Arozarena did that in all three facets today. He stole a base, he robbed a homer, and he got hit. Right? And you can downplay that, and you can say it was lucky, and you can say that it was a bad job by Dominguez. Maybe all of that's true. But Randy Arozarena found a way to crowd the plate to make Seranthony Dominguez uncomfortable and found a way on base. Right? If you're not going to slug your way out of a slump, find a way to be impactful, and Randy Arozarena did that. Kudos to him. Bases loaded, nobody out. And then Gino. I mean, what really can you say? It has been a dreadful postseason for him as well. And tonight was the game that we have been waiting for. Now, I was on the Mitch Unfiltered podcast on Monday, and our cohort there, Joe Doyle from Overslot Baseball, he said it well. He said, look, Gino is struggling, but the reason why you have Gino, the reason why you stick with Gino is for the threat of the big swing. And he even said, I think his exact words were, if he goes 2 for 20 in the ALCS, but those 2 are home runs, then that justifies him being on the roster and in the lineup. Well, here he is now, another home run. Eugenio Suarez, 2 home runs in this game. All he needed was a sac fly. He found a way to put the ball in play first and foremost. That was the most important thing in that situation. Put the ball in play. Then hit it in the air. Then it was get it deep enough to score the run. Then in a perfect world, it would be deep enough to score the run and move the other runner up to third so they could score again on another sac fly. And he found a way to hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's just an unbelievable job all around from a team that largely looked like they were dead in the water is probably too strong, but deer in the headlights is probably dead on. Right? The Mariners looked like they were a deer in the headlights, I thought, the moment they got down 2-1. Okay. The moment they got down 2-1, it looked like they were a deer in the headlights. And I wasn't sure they were going to be able to come back from that. Again, not because they don't care, not because they're not trying, but just because everything felt hard. Everything felt difficult. Everything felt like they were pressing. And in that 8th inning, they found a way, thanks to Cal. And then I think thanks to the freedom that Cal afforded the guys behind him, knowing now that they were playing with a tie, to Polanco, to Naylor, and to Suarez, and then credit to Andres Munoz. Right? I've said, and I will own my comments over the course of the year. Okay? I will own my comments over the course of the year. And I said it many times on this show that the Seattle Mariners' biggest undoing might be their bullpen. And there have been some games where maybe that's been proven true. But tonight, Andres Munoz, foot on the gas, 1-2-3 inning, 1 win away from the World Series. I can't believe I'm saying those words. I can't believe you're listening to those words. The Mariners are 1 win away from the World Series. It still doesn't mean that it will be easy. I'm not really concerned with that right now. I am concerned now with the fact that the Seattle Mariners have now gone further than they've ever gone in any single season in their history. This is now a historic season, no matter what. That is where the Mariners are at. They have reset the bar for what this franchise can be and for what this franchise should do at some point in its history. Okay, 95, they get to 6 games in the ALCS. 2000, they get to 6 games in the ALCS. 2001, they get to 5. Here, they have gotten the first time they've ever gotten 3 wins in the ALCS. They're 1 win away from the World Series. And personally, I have to just kind of say this, and I'm sure I will go deeper into this once the season ends. I got a couple questions here I'm going to get to in a minute on YouTube, so just stay with me here for a second. I'm sure I will talk about this more at length when the season ends, but I've been upfront with you guys for a while now on this podcast. Having this job and having this role in somewhat has changed my fandom. I'm not less of a fan, but I'm less emotional of a fan. I'm less reactive. I've told people that. And I was telling someone today that, right? I haven't gotten as high as I used to. I haven't gotten as low as I used to. I've just kind of steady eddied it, and it's helped me through the hard times. But I'll be honest with you, when the Mariners have played well and when the Mariners have kind of been on this playoff run, I've wondered, man, is there something wrong with me? Am I not enjoying this as much as I should? Like, I've waited 30 years for these moments. Am I not enjoying it as much as I should? I've wondered that to myself. Well, tonight answered those questions. I was a nervous wreck. I wasn't able to stay steady Eddie. I wasn't able to keep the emotions in. The emotions came out today, and I was happy to see that it was kind of unbridled and unfettered, and I didn't have to work for it, right? Like, again, this job has changed me, and I think in a lot of ways for the better. Being less reactive, being more understanding, being more rational, being more willing to ask certain questions, being more willing to understand certain answers. That has been a really good thing for me and my development in this role. But I was hoping that I hadn't kind of knocked the diehard fan out of me by doing all that. Tonight answered the question. I have not. I am as pumped as all of you. I am ready to say these words. The Seattle Mariners are 1 win away from the World Series. 1 win away from the World Series. I just can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it, but I can't believe it. And I'm going to be in Toronto for game 6 and 7. And I know that that's going to bring about, hopefully it is not game 7. Hopefully it's only game 6, but I'm going to have an opportunity to be there in person to see the Seattle Mariners clinch their first World Series berth. And that thought alone just kind of gives me the shakes. Just an unbelievable game. Again, I've got so many things I want to do, so many guests I want to have on. It's so hard to get guests, like when you're trying to do something so post-game, because you don't know if it's going to be a win or a loss. So, I like the show better when it's somebody else other than just me, just to be honest. I think the show goes a little longer. We get a little more teeth. We get a little more in-depth. We will have plenty of guests again, kind of as we move through this thing. And as the season ends, we'll have a lot more. I did interviews in Seattle at the Division Series with Andy Helwig and Riley Pay, who were the broadcasters for AAA Tacoma. They were so good, and I feel bad that I haven't played those interviews yet. But, it's just not the time. I can't go from, hey, we're in the ALCS Game 5 to go and listen to this talk about this prospect and this development. It would be so out of place. Those interviews are there. They're already done. They're now 2.5 weeks old. You will hear them at some point. They were awesome. But right now we are focused on this. We are focused on the Mariners getting to the World Series. All right. Matt says on YouTube, or no, he says on X, Brady, appreciate all your hard work this year. I'm hoping for several more. Look, there's going to be podcasts throughout the offseason. Okay. The podcast took last offseason off. It's not taking this offseason off. We have grown to the point where the content is sustainable throughout the offseason. We've grown to the point where I think the guests know who we are and want to come on even when it's not baseball season. I was doing my radio job in New England last offseason. I'm not doing that this year. This is my gig. So I am here for you all offseason. So win, lose, or draw, this thing's going to keep on going until we get to spring training next year. I'm just hoping that we have all content, as many games as we can to talk about to help bridge the gap, because we're going to go here as far as we can go, hopefully until late October, early November. We'll get the World Baseball Classic in late February, early March. For 3 months in between then, we'll have plenty to talk about too. So I am here with you, and I am here to stay. And Matt, I appreciate you listening. Nick says, I was hating on everyone in the lineup tonight, and now I don't remember a single complaint. Good, you shouldn't. There are certainly, like, this lineup is not perfect. We have known that, okay? We have talked about this is playoff baseball. And in some ways, look, it's hard and it's unfortunate and it's not always fun to watch. I'm with you on that, right? Like, I would love if the Mariners could, lead off walk, bunt them over, hit and run, get them on, get them over, get them in. I would love if they could do that 5 times to score 5 runs. That's not really realistic. What the Blue Jays are doing is fairly atypical, right? Where Ernie Clement just sticks his bat out and the ball falls in. Where Andres Gimenez just sticks his bat out at the ball and boom, it goes over. Like, this is atypical, what the Jays are doing. Like, their contact rate is abnormal. So for the Mariners, I mean, they're playing playoff baseball to a T. Okay. And you're going to get long bouts of frustration when you are homer dependent. But as we talked about earlier this week, and as I wrote over at Roundtable Sports, like, the best way to score against pitching like this is not to get 4 singles in order to bring in a run or 2. It is to get a walk, get a hit by pitch, get a flare, and then boom, 3-run homer grand slam. And then there's your big inning. There's your game. There's your 5 runs in a game right there, all in one shot. Mariners hit 3 home runs tonight. This is what they're going to do. This is what baseball in the playoffs is. It's rare to knock Tarik Skubal around. It's rare to knock Kevin Gausman around. It's rare to put 5 singles on a great reliever who's throwing 98 miles an hour. But you know what you can do? Take advantage of some relievers that are wild and then get one big swing, which is what the Mariners did, which is what the Mariners have done, which is what they will continue to rely on. It is not always the most aesthetically pleasing to watch. But in the playoffs, it does work. My friends over at the Table Setters podcast, right? Table Setters, a baseball podcast. I've gone on it twice. Those guys are awesome, right? Like, they're based out of New York. They are funny. They are witty. They are connected. And they're a lot of fun to hang out with. I've gone on that show twice. I love it. They asked me, Brady, what'd you think of Bryan Woo tonight? I thought it was as much as you could ask for. Like, I thought Bryan Woo looked as good. Like, he answered every question that I had. Bryan Woo answered every question that I had. Okay, like, let's start with the fact the velocity was up to 97. The velocity was up to 97. That's a good thing. He was steady 95 to 97, exactly where he should be. He threw the slider. He threw the breaking ball. Like, I was wondering, okay, he's throwing hard, but can he throw everything? He threw everything. I threw a handful of sliders. He's always going to be fastball dominant, but he was able to throw the slider, and he was able to use the slider to his advantage. I believe he got Alejandro Kirk on the slider, if I'm remembering correctly. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did get a whiff on the slider. So he did that. He threw strikes. Like, yeah, did he miss some location here or there? A couple arm side fastballs? Yeah, of course. But he hasn't pitched since September 19th. He could have come out and walked the ballpark. He threw strikes. That impressed me. Now, he struggled. He gave up a first pitch double and a bleeder single. I can't be mad at him for that. He hasn't pitched in 3 weeks. He's throwing a pitch for the first time in 3 weeks. He throws a strike. Alejandro Kirk gets aggressive on it and doubles. I mean, so maybe he didn't get Kirk on a K. Maybe he got somebody on a K. But nonetheless, I mean, Woo answered all my questions. I don't know what his pitch count is. I don't expect that we could see him again until Game 7 at the earliest. I don't know what we could see for the World Series if the Mariners get there. But right now, I'm not concerned with that. He was excellent, I thought. He did exactly what I think they needed from him. He gave him 2 innings. He saved Bizardo. They didn't have to use him. They didn't have to extend with Spire. They didn't have to extend with Munoz. He gave him 2 innings to cover that they haven't had at any other point in this series, at any other point in these playoffs. So Bryan Woo, to me, was very, very good. Shane says instant tears when that ball went out. I get it, man. I absolutely get it. Noah says, I hope that sparked Gino. He needed the confidence boost. Now we need the same for Randy. Yeah. Look, this lineup, as I told you, right? Like, when you're playing for the home run ball, you're not going to get everybody hot at once. I would love to see Arozarena be better. I would love to see Robles be better and play. Canzone's approach has completely regressed. Polanco's gone cold the last 2 games. Like, it's not going to be perfect when you are seeing the pitching that they are seeing. I will add this. My other buddy Nick says he's actively looking up tickets to Game 6. I'm with you. I'll be there. I don't need tickets, but I would want every Mariners fan to be up there and experience potentially what the Mariners have a chance to experience. It would be awesome. I'll leave it at this. The pressure is back on the Blue Jays now. And that sounds obvious because the Mariners are up 3-2. But the Mariners are going to have Logan Gilbert, an all-star, their opening day starter, and at times over the last 2 years, their ace. They're going to have Logan Gilbert on the mound in Game 6, going up against Trey Yesavage, who's a rookie who's made 5 career starts. The Mariners have the advantage here. Yesavage is excellent. He's going to have a great career, I'm sure, but they got to him in Game 2. They're going to have the emotion. He's going to have the emotions of Game 5 or Game 6. Can he handle them? The emotions of an elimination game. Can he handle them? And John Schneider is going to have, I'm sure, a quick hook to go to the bullpen. And we have seen what exactly that bullpen looks like. I think Fluharty is very good as a lefty. Dominguez has now been touched up. Hoffman's a guy clearly they stayed away from. Varland is good, and he could go 2 innings, but can he go more than that? Okay, Chris Bassett's down there. He can give you some length, but how much do they trust from him? Scherzer pitched long enough in Game 4 that he can't be available out of the pen for any kind of length, I would think, in Game 6. So the Mariners have the advantage here. And once again, like when they were up 2-0, they've got to find a way to take it. They've got to find a way to take it. This is one of the best nights in Seattle Mariners history. I'm really not down to rank them because to each is their own. There are some special moments, right? 95, the double, 95, the 1-game playoff, winning the 116th game, Felix perfect game. Like, there's a lot of great moments, even through a lot of slop in this franchise's history. This is right near the top. In terms of what it means, this is 1 or 2, and I really don't think there's any discussion about that. In terms of the best nights for people personally, I would have to think it's 1 or 2 also, but I'll leave that up to you. Again, I'm on the road to Toronto. That's why unfamiliar locale, unfamiliar equipment, no music, no nothing. Just me and you and the M's and a dream we have all had all our lives. 1 win away from the World Series. I implore all of you to read our content, Mariners on Roundtable Sports. I've asked you to join the free community before. Let me kind of reiterate what that is. Roundtable Sports is where we cover the Mariners, hopefully better than everybody. I know there's other great Mariners people out there. A lot of them are my friends personally or professionally. So up top on our page, it's kind of the Big J journalism. Myself and Taryn Kovacs doing reporting, opinions, news and notes, everything you kind of want to know to stay up on the team. At the bottom, it's kind of our fun zone on the bottom of the page, right? Message boards, everything you're talking about on Facebook or Reddit, you can now do on our site. And we're just trying to make it one-stop shopping, right? You can get the news up top. You can have the conversation down below. And we're posting 5, 8, 10 stories a day in addition to doing this podcast. We're working hard for you because the team is working hard for all of us as well. I will see you from Toronto on Sunday. Now, it's going to take me a bit to get over the border. There's going to be cell issues once I get over the border. So once I'm there and once I'm at the ballpark and once I'm connected to the internet, you will hear from me again. And we'll see if that's the night the Mariners clinch a spot in the World Series for the first time ever. Thanks for listening to Refuse to Lose. I'm Brady Farkas. As always, go M's.